Welcome friends, my name is Pranav Shukla and today we are going to learn English subject. This is NCERT Standard 9 and we are going for supplementary reader moments, and the chapter is Unit 2, The Adventures of Toto by Ruskin Bond. Friends, story is a very light-hearted story and as Ruskin Bond is known for his keen observation of day-to-day Indian life, and today, as far as this story is concerned, is going for the vista of the years, is taken from his own childhood and recalls the memory with his grandfather and the other family members. Today he's in a bit comic mode. Normally he does, but today he's brought a comic story. He today brings the adventure of a small monkey baby, namely Toto, that was brought by grandfather to the house. Recalling grandfather, he says that he was very fond of animals. He had a almost private zoo at home, though grandmother was quite at the oppose of that, but grandfather hardly heeded that. Sometimes just keeping the grandmother in dark about his new buy from the market in terms of animals, and he keeps animals in his house. Later he discloses the arrival and the stay of the animals to the grandmother, and grandmother, with a very sweet scolding, accepts the hobby of grandfather. So grandfather this time brings a baby monkey, namely Toto, but other animals are different and monkey is a different animal, highly mischievous one, and the adventures that the monkey perform really brings joy on your face, smile on your face, and it's a sheer treat by Ruskin Bond. Friends, today I even feel it very important to discuss even about Ruskin Bond. The name is English, is obviously a British descent, but is born and brought up in India. I can call him as an Indian writer writing in English with British descent. But being a British writer, being a Britisher, he has never shown that attitude. He is thoroughly Indian, and you could see the real Indian spirit in Ruskin Bond. Especially, he has contributed a lot to children and youngsters, and for this is conferred many honors. He's also won Sahitya Academy Award for his novel Our Trees Still Grow in Dehra, and he's also been conferred with two of the most renowned and topmost civilian awards, that is Padma Bhushan and Padma Vibhushan. So I can just state one thing about Ruskin Bond, that being given a Britisher, what India he knows is hardly known by any Indian. Is typical Indian. He's observed Indian spirit, Indian people, their day-to-day routine, and he has brought some very delicate side of the Indian spirit with light-hearted stories. He has made certain characters like Ruskin, Uncle Ken, Rusty, immortal ones, and they still stay in the hearts of children. So, with a tribute and a salute to this legendary writer, he's a living legend, he's still there, and is Helen hearty, and we still hope that he would spend the rest of the life kingly and still stay in the heart of the people for the eternal time. So just giving him tribute and a sweet recall. Let's begin the reading of the chapter, friends. I'm just bringing you the textbook. Please wait for a while. Here we have. So let's begin with, I already noted down some difficult words and meanings over there, just for your convenience, so better you go for it. Have you ever had a baby monkey as a pet? Obviously I don't, or I haven't. Toto is a baby monkey. Let's find out whether he is mischievous or docile, obedient, modest, dutiful, meek, humble, submissive. Number of meanings are there. Two contrasting words are there describing the monkey. Obviously, we know that he is very mischievous, not docile at all. So let's see his adventures. Grandfather bought Toto from a Tonga driver for the sum of 5 rupees. He's bought from a Tonga driver, the one who rides the horse wagon cab. The Tonga driver used to keep the little red monkey tied to a feeding trough. It is a container kept for the cattle or horses to feed. Kundi. And the monkey looked so out of place, as if not appropriate at the place where he was. There the grandfather decided he would add the little fella to his private zoo. So he's brought it. Toto was a pretty monkey. His self-oxymoronical terms, self-contradictory, pretty and monkey. His bright eyes sparkled with mischief. Well, you could see the mischief in his sparkling eyes. They were analytical, mischievous eyes. There is a tinkle of mischief in the eyes. Sparkled with mischief beneath deep-set eyebrows, and his teeth, which were a pearly white, pearly, just white like pearls, were very often displayed in a smile that frightened the life out of elderly Anglo-Indian ladies. Ladies are very afraid of this kind of monkeys as they snatch away the things from them. So whenever the elderly ladies are around, intentionally this monkey really greens or shows the pearly white teeth, kikiata kare, and that really had the life out of the elderly ladies as they were very much frightened. The English citizens born or living in India would be called as Anglo-Indian. But his hands looked dried up as though they had been pickled, dried, preserved, drying for preservation. As you can see, all the fruits are kept in the sun, and that sun actually takes the juice out of it and leaves them dry. And the way they look to be very wrinkled and dried up and nailed one. So the hands of monkey looking like that. So they are called as pickled in the sun for many years. Yet his fingers were quick and wicked, and his tail, while adding to his good looks, as grandfather believed a tail would add anyone's good look, as far as obviously animals are concerned, also served a third hand. He could use it to hang from a branch, and it was capable of scooping up, taking out any delicacy, delicious food that might be out of reach of his hands. So this is how he uses his tail as a third hand, and he could actually get the out of reach things by using it. Grandmother always fussed, very much worried unnecessarily, excessively, when grandfather brought home some new bird or animal. So it was decided that Toto's present should be kept as a secret from her until she was in a particularly good mood. Once she comes in a good mood, the secret of this monkey could be revealed. So this is a very sweet relationship between grandfather and grandmother. Grandfather and I means the author himself is written in the first person singular. Grandfather and I put him away in a little closet. There is a room or a recess or a cabinet used for storing place, REO or something we can just call in our language, opening into my bedroom wall where he was tied securely, or so we thought. He might not be securely tied to a peg. Peg, matlab, uh, it is a kind of small clip where we can just hang the clothes, kitty, peg fastened into the wall. A few hours later, when grandfather and I came back to release Toto, now this is where his adventures got started. We found that the walls, which had been covered with some ornamental wallpapers had been there, that was specially chosen by grandfather, now stood out as naked brick plaster. Matlab, he's taken out all the wall plasters, literally tore them, and he's just put some hard effort to get out of that closet and get away from that peg, that almost the peg had been wrenched, twisted from its socket. And what he has done extra, so, and my school blazer, that coat which had been hanging there, was in shreds, was torn up in pieces, threads came out, so it's damaged a lot of things. I wondered what grandmother would say, but grandfather didn't worry. He seemed pleased with Toto's performance. Well, he was so generous for the animals, even their mischiefs, a lot of damage could be taken very lightly and easily. On the contrary, he says what? He's clever, said grandfather. Given time, let us give him some time. I'm sure he could have tied the torn pieces of your blazer into a rope and made his escape from the window. He's still expecting some more clever moves from this monkey. He's quite positive about him, but he will have to pay for it. His presence in the house still a secret. Toto was now transferred to a big cage in servants' quarters, where a number of grandfather's pets lived very sociably, very harmoniously, in a very nice coordination together. How many of them were there? There was a tortoise, a pair of rabbits, a tame squirrel, pet. And for a while, for a very short time, it has recently been bought, my pet got, but the monkey wouldn't allow any of his companions to sleep at night. So grandfather, who had to leave Dehradun next day, collect his pension in Saharanpur. He was a pensioner. He had to go to Saharanpur to collect his pension. So he decided to take Toto with him, so that at least for one day, all the other pet animals could get some peace and rest. But that would take grandfather's peace and rest away from him. Let's see what happens. Unfortunately, I could not accompany grandfather on that trip. Why is saying it unfortunately? Because what adventures was done by Toto had been missed out totally by him. He had to only listen to the reporting description from the grandfather after the incident happened. So he's very regretful about that. Unfortunately, I could not accompany grandfather on that trip, but he told me about it afterwards. What happened? A big black canvas kit bag was provided for Toto. We had to be kept in that canvas bag. This with some straw, we had put some straw, dry grass at the bottom, and that became his new abode, his living place. When the bag was closed, there was no escape. So even if he jumps, he would not be able to get out of the bag. So that was safe for him. Toto could not get his hands through the opening, and the canvas was too strong for him to bite his way through. See friends, the use of too strong to bite. Remove to, used to. If remove to, the meaning would be like that. It was so strong that he could not even bite his way through. His efforts to get out only had the effect of making when he tries to get out, he puts some effort, as is not visible to anyone. So one could only see the bag being rolled, bag being jumped, and there is a curiosity arose among the people. So it's quite comedy His efforts to get out only had the effect of making the big bag roll about on the floor and occasionally jump into the air. This exhibition that attracted curious crowd of onlookers on the Dehradun railway platform. So this was the adventure of Toto while being carried to the Saharanpur. Toto remained in the bag as far as Saharanpur, but while grandfather was producing his ticket at the railway turnstile, friends, that round gate where only one could pass, and you have to be in the queue just to follow the person who's ahead of you. So that particular, I can just show you if you cannot really recall it. See, this kind of gate is called as turnstile, that round one. You must have seen at the park and at some public places. Okay. Toto suddenly poked his head out of the bag and gave the ticket collector a wide grin. Grin matlab smiling, laughing by showing teeth, looking very funny. The poor man was taken aback, shockingly surprised, but with great presence of mind and much to grandfather's annoyance. Matlab he was quite angry, annoyed. He said, "Sir, you have a dog with you." Matlab he called that monkey as a dog. You'll have to pay for it accordingly. Matlab he charged ticket money for that particular. Matlab he inclined grandfather to buy a ticket for Toto, considering him as a dog. Grandfather put a lot of efforts to convince him that he was not a dog, it was a monkey, but he was not convinced. In vain, matlab useless, futile, did grandfather take Toto out of the bag. In vain, matlab he put all the efforts to convince him, but all had gone vain, useless. In vain did he try to prove that the monkey did not qualify as a dog, or even as a quadrup matlab with 4 feet animal. Toto was classified a dog by ticket collector, and 3 rupees was the sum handed over to his fare. It was a loss suffered by grandfather. He was quite annoyed. Then grandfather, just to get his own back, took from his pocket our pet tortoise and said, matlab he's now become very ironical, sarcastic. And he sarcastically told that ticket collector, "What must I pay for this, since you charge for all the animals?" Because ticket collector did not actually realize his taunt and answered very genuinely, but he find it very funnily. Ticket collector looked closely at the tortoise, prodded it, poked with his finger as if he is examining him. With his forefinger, gave grandfather a pleased and triumphant as if he is victorious to grab or snatch money away from grandfather. Triumphant, victorious look and said, "No charge, it is not a dog." As if he has given a very important information and as if he has got knowledge of distinguishing between all the animals. So he's looking very funny. This is his adventure at the Saharanpur. Further, later grandfather told grandmother about the arrival of Toto. When Toto was finally accepted by grandmother, he was given a comfortable home in the stable, the place for horses and the other animals, where he had for a companion the family donkey that was named as Nana. It was a female donkey actually. On Toto's first night in the stable, grandfather paid him a visit to see if he was comfortable. But when he had gone over there, he was surprised to see Nana. He found Nana without apparent cause, pulling at her halter, the kind of rope that is used to tie horse with something or donkey with something, and trying to keep her head as far as possible from the bundle of hair, not trying to eat it. Very unusual, strange behavior. So having seen this strange behavior, grandfather actually gave a slap on the haunches malab that hips or buttocks of Nana, considering that it was doing a mischief, but it was later found that it was the mischief of Toto. How? See, grandfather gave Nana a slap across her haunches, that hip, buttock, upper thigh, and she jerked back, dragging Toto with her. He had fastened on to her long ears with his sharp little teeth. Actually, Toto captured, grabbed, or had taken the ears of Nana into his teeth, and that was bothering Nana. So Toto and Nana, after this incident, never become friends. A great treat for Toto during cold winter evenings was a large bowl of warm water given him by grandmother for his bath. Now it is with grandmother. Now what does he do with his bath? So see, how would he mimic human beings, especially the author? He would cunningly test the temperature with his hand. Then gradually, very slowly, step by step, step into the bath. First one foot, then the other, as he has seen me doing. He is copying, mimicking the author. So first one foot, then the other, until he was into the water up to his neck. So once comfortable, he would take the soap in his hands or feet. Just remember, monkey has got lots of fur, hair, and he would use now soap. So what would be the condition of soap? In his hands or feet, and rub himself all over. When the water became cold, he would get out and run as quickly as he could to the kitchen fire in order to dry himself. It is a colder region, so the water easily gets cold, and once it is got cold, he, just to get himself warm, runs to the kitchen fire just to dry himself. But sometimes this kind of mischief can be turned very, very harmful, very injurious, and the same thing happened. If anyone laughed at him during his performance, Toto's feeling would be hurt and he would refuse to go on with his bath. So one day Toto nearly succeeded in boiling himself alive while drying himself. So this adventure could be turned out as a misadventure. How he was spared, it was light of a sort. A large kitchen kettle had been left on the fire to boil for tea, and Toto, finding himself with nothing better to do, decided to remove the lid. Lid means the kind of lid that is used to open and shut that particular cover of the kettle. So finding the water just warm enough for a bath, he got in. So there was water inside the kettle. It was getting boiled, and he found that water a bit warm. It was warm enough to get bath, so he just got into the kettle, and he kept his head out of it, with his head striking out from the open kettle. This was just fine for a while. थोड़ी देर तो ये ठीक रहा, until the water began to boil. Toto then raised himself a little, but finding it cold again outside, he sat down again. So he continued just coming out and getting into the water, coming out and getting into the water for a while. So he continued hopping up, HOPPING, jumping up, hopping up and down for some time, until grandmother arrived and pulled him, drew him out heavily, slowly. He was almost half boiled out of the kettle, and he was just spared, slight of a sort. So out of these misadventures, we can say only one thing about him. What is it? If there is a part of the brain, especially devoted to mischief, if God has given him a part of brain, or if God has given us the part of a brain which is totally dedicated to mischief, खुराफात करने के लिए अगर कोई भी कोना बनाया है दिमाग का, तो ये वाला जो है वो टोटो में बहुत ज्यादा डेवलप था. he was highly mischievous. That part was largely developed in Toto. That is irony, sarcasm. He was always tearing things into pieces. Whenever one of my aunts came near him, he made every effort to get hold of her dress and tear a hole in it. So he frightened the people coming from outside. This is the range of mischiefs he used to do in the house. So that was all tolerated. It was taken as granted. But one day, malab, he crossed all the limits, and that really brought him the bell of the death bell, malab, the bell of exile from the house. See, that comes. This is a very important incident. See, one day at lunchtime, a large dish of pulao, that rice, stood in the center of the dining table. We entered the room to find Toto stuffing himself with rice. So grandfather had seen that, and he spoiled the entire that dish. So grandfather screamed, and the moment she screamed, that frightened Toto, and Toto threw a plate at her. One of my aunts rushed forward and received a glass of water in the face. He threw the glass of water in the face of my aunt. When grandfather arrived, Toto picked up now grandfather would realize, because he had faced that mischief of Toto. When grandfather arrived, Toto picked up the dish of pulao and made his exit through a window. We found him in the branches of the jackfruit tree, the dish still in his arms. Now he remained there all afternoon, eating slowly through the rice, determined as if he's decided on finishing every grain, just to irritate the onlookers, especially the family members. And then in order to spite, annoy, angry, hurt grandmother, who had screamed at him, that was the reason why he was to annoy grandmother, he threw the dish down from the tree and chattered with something like that. Made that silly, rapid, incessant noise just to annoy somebody with delight when it broke into 100 pieces. So he had broken the plate. Obviously, Toto was not the sort of pet, was not the kind of pet we could keep for long. Even grandfather realized that. So now the time is ripened that to get rid of this mischievous monkey. So now author gives the reason. Okay, he was so much damaging, destroying the things, and they were not so rich, prosperous that they could actually afford such kind of damage. So author says that we were not well-to-do. Well-to-do is a compound word, rich, well-off, prosperous, wealthy, and could not afford the frequent loss of dishes, clothes, curtains, wallpaper. All these things had been damaged by him. So grandfather found the Tonga driver from whom he had actually bought that monkey and sold Toto back to him for only 3 rupees. He had bought in 5 rupees. He had spent some money, he had damaged the things. Malab, khaya piya kuch nahi, glass thoda barana. So this is how they got rid of that monkey, Toto. And this is how we have gone through the adventures of Toto. So this is all about adventures of Toto, friends. I hope you must have enjoyed the story. Ruskin Bond has got all the stories quite enjoying. So I hope a few more stories would come in the coming years. And that's all for today. I'm sending you the question answers. Please read all the difficult words, note it down, write down the question answers, send it to me, and we'll soon meet with the next chapter. Thank you very much.